axial skeleton, we have 8 cranial bones. We have 1 frontal bone, 2 parietal bones in the red, 1 occipital bone, and the external occipital protuberance, and this marks the attachment of a ligament that stabilizes the vertebrae and the neck. We have 2 temporal bones, the blue marking, 1 on each side of the skull. For the external view of the temporal bone, we have the TMJ, which is the temporal mandibular joint. We have the mastoid process, which is located behind the ear and is the attachment of many neck muscles. We have right here this hole is the external acoustic meatus. It is the opening of the ear canal. Right below that is the styloid process. The squamous part of the temporal bone is this darker blue area right here. Internally, we have the petrosius part of the temporal bone, which houses the inner ear, and that is this blue indication right here. Also, the internal view, we have the internal acoustic meatus, also known as the internal auditory canal, and you can see it right there, this black marking. The facial and vestibulocular nerves pass through this hole. So for the sphenoid bone, we have the lateral view of the greater wing and the orbital view of the greater wing. And this right here is the superior orbital fissure. Can't really see it that well, but so different nerves pass through this opening of the superior orbital fissure. So the internal view, we have the lesser wing is this whole orange marking is the sphenoid. So this area, this is the frontal bone, and this is the occipital bone back here. So start with this red marking. This is the sella turcica. It's a saddle-shaped depression in the body of the sphenoid bone, and it holds the pituitary gland. The green areas right here, this is the optocanal. It's at the apex of the orbit, and it lies within the sphenoid bone. The optic nerve, the ophthalmic artery, and the central retinal veins pass through this opening. The brown right here, that is part of the greater wing. And then the black lining right here, this is part of the lesser wing. And these are all different parts of the sphenoid bone. In the ethmoid bone, again, that can be seen through this red indicator. Internally, we have what's called the cribriform plate, which is this purple plate. And the olfactory nerves pass through the holes. The crista galli projects from the cuneiform plate, and the crista galli helps secure the brain in the cranial cavity. So that keeps our brain secure. So for the sutures, we have the coronal suture, which is this first black suture right here. The coronal suture separates the two parietal bones and the frontal bones. We have the sagittal suture, and it lies between the two parietal bones of the skull. And then posterior of the skull, we have the lambdoid suture here, and it lies between the two parietal bones to the lambdoid suture that lies between the two parietal bones and the occipital bones. And then last but not least, we have the squamous suture. And this suture connects the lower border of the parietal bones with the temporal bones. So I drew in the squamous bone, so it'll be right here. Squamous suture. So it connects the lower border of the parietal bones with the temporal bones on both sides of the skull.